Revontuli Coast is officially out on all platforms, and there are, of course, a lot of changes to the Waterfowl with this update. So I wanted to do a Waterfowl kind of quick start guide and look at how to get set up quickly and effectively for all the different waterfowl species on Revontuli Coast. And the first step is to simply find waterfowl. Now, I know saying that may sound easier said than done, however, I promise, if you're running anywhere near lake shores, you'll either see them circling around above the water, kind of like what they're doing here, or you may see them actually landed on the water. Once you've found waterfowl, the next thing to do is look for a shallow area of the lake. So anywhere in here is not all that shallow. We can only get out maybe 2-3 meters and then we're running into too deep of water. So we're going to run around the entire shore and look for an area that we can wade out maybe 15-20 meters or further into the water for our setup. Now it is important to pay attention to what species of duck you spot. So in our case we saw both tufted duck and Eurasian teal, and we'll want to set out decoys for both of those species to be as effective as possible. But I think we found our spot. This lake is a little tough, but we're about 30 meters from the shore. So if you have a tent, in my opinion the best thing to do is set that up on the shore. That way you can easily fast travel back to this area anytime in the future to hunt it. But we'll have to find a spot where it's going to allow us to place it, which of course can be a little awkward, but that'll work. And then we can grab our layout blind, and I should probably also mention there is a difference between the water layout blind and the old layout blinds that only work on land. We want the water layout blind for these purposes, and what we'll do is try to get it out into the water as far as possible. So it looks like right in here is going to be about that spot, and then we're actually going to back up maybe like 3 or 4 meters, and I'll explain the reason for that in just one second. Now we'll go back and get decoys for both Eurasian teal and tufted duck, and what I do is get 10 drakes and 10 hens. I really don't think it makes any difference. I think you just need the decoys out there, but it at least adds a bit of variety from our perspective. The tufted ducks must be hiding on here somewhere. In fact, it's in alphabetical order, so right here at the bottom, got our drakes and the hens for them. 20 of each is all you need, and this is why I like to back the blind up a little bit from where the decoys are going to be. Basically, your dismantle button is the same as your collect trophy button, and as the ducks flow back to you, you don't want to be accidentally dismantling your decoys, so if you have them out there a little far away, you don't really run into that issue and you can just collect your ducks. Now you can mess with different setups for your decoys. I really don't do much but make a kind of semicircle around the front of the blind. Again, just keeping them far enough away that if a dead duck floats to us, we shouldn't have a prompt to dismantle anything. They should be kind of out of the way, and I always hold the rotate button when I set them up. This has nothing to do with actually attracting ducks, but it does make them all face different directions as you're going along, and I think it adds a little bit of realism. But that is our setup of 40 decoys. We need to confirm we have the proper colors for both species. Now, one thing you will undoubtedly notice is that there are not specific colors for each species of duck. There is a Eurasian witching color, a Eurasian teal color, and then the original Duck and Cover DLC Beacon Deluxe duck color from back when mallards came out on Layton Lakes. Even though the other species of duck are not listed under the affected species, this is the best thing I can figure that works for them. So for our tufted duck, we're going to want that, and we do have Eurasian teal here, and we'll want the Eurasian teal color. Now it sounds like we might be a little late getting out here. We do have some Eurasian teal coming in. We'll try to kind of sneak out into the blind and call them down, and I think we might have just pulled it off. We have some coming down here to land. We're going to keep calling it, try to bring them over this way a little bit more, but it looks like they'll be landing pretty close by. We do have the 12 gauge pump for now, just because that's not a DLC weapon, and it does appear they like to land over in that area. We'll try to go ahead and get that one just out of the sky a little bit. Now, Eurasian teal are very fast, so it requires a good bit of lead even at close range, but it looks like for now, we just got the two. Now, maybe when we are sitting in the blind and don't have them already coming in, we can get them to land in a better area. But for now, our first two ducks, if we can figure out where this one got to, in fact, it must have actually gotten into the water. Now, it's still shallow enough, and I do encounter this a good bit at all my setups, that they don't always float all the way to the blind. So what you do is just make sure that you have confirmed trophy and not dismantle showing on your screen. Got ourselves a nice drake Eurasian teal there. And this other one actually worked properly. We can jump in the blind, no need to even get out. We can confirm the trophy from here, and no dismantle coming up anywhere, unless we're right kind of facing at the front of the blind. So we can back this up a little bit more, just to make sure that's not an issue. By the way, I don't know what the button's going to be on PC, but you'll notice on the right side of the screen, that is the dismantle button for the waterfowl blinds. I assume that's kind of to combat the decoy situation. I'm just not sure why they didn't change the decoy button, but now I'm going to say we're going to be all set. No dismantling showing up, and hopefully the next flock of ducks will land a little closer to us. And I'm quite glad to see we have tufted duck coming in this time, because I wanted to show the Beacon Deluxe duck color does seem to work and bring them in closer. And I mean, we have seen with plenty of setups before, even if you don't use a collar, they'll land pretty close, but I do believe the collar gets them a bit closer, so we'll continue calling. And this happens regardless. There are so many ducks, it's almost impossible to keep track of any decent sized ones, so whatever lands close, we'll go for. Now, one thing I've been doing when there are a bunch of ducks is letting the first 1 to 3 land. It kind of allows you to get more shots off at ducks that are close range, and of course, when they are so fast, that is pretty important. So eventually, we should start to get some landing. Some are dropping down right over there. Kind of farther away than I would want, but at least they're kind of in range. And we'll keep on going with some of these others and try to get them closer. That's a bit better. And one thing you can consider is using the red dot sight. It's far more customizable. You've got a lot of options for what your reticle can look like, and it basically can cater to whatever you want it to be. Got some coming in behind us here. That might be a little more ideal. Let's go ahead and try to get that one. And we'll just get whatever we can here before they get out of sight. Actually, some of our best shooting thus far. I think we got 4 of them. Not half bad. I've never seen them land behind me before. That was the first. But I guess that is a thing that can happen, especially when you have so many coming down. Now, if this becomes a thing, if we hunt this spot 3, 4, 5 times and they continue to land over here, we'll just kind of switch it up and maybe move the blind a little bit this direction. But that's one of those things you can kind of adjust your setup as you go to where the ducks like to land. Now, I've lost track, but I think we have 1 more after this. Would be a bit unfortunate if we shot all hens. In fact, we have 2 more after this. All hens thus far, though. And again, as I was saying, that can kind of be a thing. It's so hard to keep track of what's what. I do try to spot everything, and there's a good gold drake to wrap up with. But if I see a 3, what I would recommend, and if you spot a 3, don't take your eyes off it. Try to continue leaving it spotted. Maybe grab your call once or twice, and then get the binoculars back on it. When there are a bunch of ducks, it's really easy to lose track of where your big ones are, but that is the basics of a duck setup. The biggest thing really is that shallow area to get your blind out into the water, decoys far enough away that that doesn't become an issue, and basically call them in, get the shots when they're getting close, and adjust. Adjusting your setup is the biggest thing. It's rare you're going to get it perfect the first time, but if you can move things around, get them where the ducks like to land, you're going to have a really good time with the waterfowl hunting. And one last thing, the different waterfowl species do have different characteristics, different traits, different speeds as they're flying away. So you'll probably see that you'll improve with the shooting and getting used to shooting a particular species the more you hunt them. So if you're starting out struggling to get some, don't worry, I had the exact same issue. I was rarely getting more than 1 in a flock, and as you saw there, we got 4 with a very less than ideal situation where they came in behind us. But anyway, that is going to do it for this short video, so thank you guys for watching. Best of luck on your waterfowl hunts, and I'll see you next time.